Because I think that, people see someone like yourself and you've been doing this for a long time. And a lot of times it's like, well, where do I get started? There's so many teacher training programs. There's so many different schools out there, from big schools, like Power Pilates is what I consider a big school compared to like a boutique studio that has an apprentice program. What do you recommend as someone's career path if they want to get started in Pilates to a point where they're teaching and running their own studio?
Okay, so I think it's all about your teacher. I shouldn't say that. I'm very partial to classical Pilates training. I think you owe it to yourself. To me, it's like learning how to play the piano. The good thing is you could always go back and learn from whomever, but
Yes.
the teacher that you choose or the studio you choose, you should have access to that teacher as much as possible. So my apprentices, I give them access to me all the time. They're in the studio always when we don't have COVID.
Yes.
But I meet with them a few times a week on a Zoom call. They can call me whenever they want. They can watch, I'll put them on virtually with a client if they'd like. You have to have a teacher that's open and and giving and
Yes.
passionate and gives information. When I learned, things weren't as open. It wasn't like that as much.
So I hear.
Yeah. So, and I'm not, that's just the way it was. I think a lot of people had grown up in the ballet community. And also, if you're in New York and you have 35 apprentices, it's hard to spend time with them. Nowadays, we don't have that many.
Right.
But make sure your teacher's available. Make sure you have opportunities for continuing education, because not all certification programs have that option all the time. Now I feel like it's out there more, but make sure that's available to you. One thing I do like about Power Pilates is there are so many teachers around the world that you are part of their family all of a sudden,
Yes.
And that being said, you make yourself part of the family for so many. Now on social media, you can access so much information, but you have to have a teacher that's willing to give.
Absolutely.
And if your teacher is off, like off-putting or not open, or you have to schedule time with them and it's crazy to get their time, I think that's probably a bad sign.
Yes. Like you're all, even from our comments earlier, like it sounds like you're very big on accessibility.
Very, very big.
Yeah.
As you know, one exercise can present itself so many different ways. So I think new Pilates instructors get very focused on, I'm supposed to do, side to side on the short box this way. Martin said to do it this way. Beth does it this way. So I want them to talk to me and not think, oh God, I'm doing it wrong. And then figure out, what's the exercise for? Why am I doing the exercise?
Yes. That's, and sorry to jump in there. I think that's the real benefit of understanding classical Pilates is when you know the origin of a thing, you can make your own decisions on how to adjust and adapt the exercise for the body in front of you, because you know the essence of the exercise.
Yes.
Because I think we were probably in the same room when we were doing, I think at Dana's studio. And this example, for those who are out there, I think we were doing the long stretch. And Jay Grimes was walking around the room, and one person had their fingers wrapped around it. Another person had their fingers reaching straight out. Another person had their wrist this way. And there's all these different variations in the room because everyone learned from a different person.
Right.
So I leaned into the lady next to me and I asked her, like, why is someone doing this and this? And it's like, well, they're taught this way. So having your fingers out is the gold star doing this exercise. Whereas someone else was taught, well, their fingers are round. That's the gold star for doing the exercise. Well, someone else was taught, you know what I mean? So we're all taught different ways, and we're all taught different expressions and different little nuances and different ripples to the same exercise. But what is the essence of the exercise? Is connecting your arms to your powerhouse to your back? Is connecting this to this? It's getting this to move when this isn't moving. It's having, you know what I mean? So when we get into understanding from a classical perspective what the essence of the exercise is, you know, Jay Grimes he went around and he's slapping people's fingers like, you're not getting a manicure right now. Close your hands. You know what I mean? But then someone else was wrapping really tight and gripping. It's like, okay, you can relax and just let this. So there's so many different ways that the exercise has expression, but we need to understand the essence of the exercise and move from that point.
Right. And sometimes those things don't even matter because there's something else that's so off. You better be, you know, you have to pay attention to that. Forget the fingers for now, right?
Right.
So, yes, what's the essence? What are you looking for from that client? What are you trying to give that client?
Yes.
And those things are hard for brand new apprentices. Very hard. You know, because you're looking, how many springs should I have?
Right.
What bar be up
Yes.
or down? Where's
When
the
do I
headrest?
breathe?
Should the
Yes.
headrest be on one or two or like, you know, so yeah, so those are very complicated, or not complicated, you know, and they're just learning the basics. So they need to learn how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb and
Yes.
play that really well, and
Mm-hmm.
then start layering in, right? And that's how
Yes.
we teach in classically is, here's the basics, here's the foundation, and then how do you layer in, how does an exercise build, and then where in the studio can you take that client?
Yes, I love when we can ask those questions and get people to think critically about their exercises instead of, you know, sometimes that's a fault with classical too, is that we just memorize the exercise and memorize the order and think we have it nailed.
Right, right. And
You
you
know,
have to
that's
do
the
that
danger
to a
too.
certain extent in the beginning, right? In the beginning,
Of course.
it has to be clear, concise, clean. Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
the apprenticeship should take at least a year, at least,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
not longer. Yeah.
And you know, Beth, I love the analogy you used about learning the piano. And what came to mind for me is like learning the guitar, where it's easy to learn to play by ear. You hear a song on the radio and just to follow along. And if you're intuitive enough, you can figure it out. And that's way different than being able to read music.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and
Both
Pilates
can
is a lot
play.
like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, both are could be great, you know, amazing musicians and never know how to read music, read sheet music.
Yeah, and I think the really, really fabulous teachers are the ones that get that concept.
Yes.
And they're not just teaching, you know, great, they did the 100, they did the this, they did the that, and they're out the door. And it's the people that learn how to read the sheet music.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Or Dennis's line the other day, which I'm still laughing at, is you were saying, you know, as clients, they come into the room and then we were teaching them the exercises and yeah, sorry, we're teaching them the exercises and we're teaching them different things. So they're going through a workup, but they're also understanding things about their body as they go. And he said,
Yes.
you know, there's people who show up and it's like they just drop their body off for the hour,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, that's a
where
really,
they're
really
just
good,
okay.
it's a great point to bring up because I certainly have a lot of those clients. So I always think that's a challenge for me, right? Like, how am I going to get this person? Maybe I pick, and Jay Grimes does this. Maybe you pick one exercise. How am I going to get this person into the moment and not just showing up for the hour, right? How am I going to
Yes,
change their body?
yes.
What am I going to do for them?
Hmm.
You know, and you want to change that concept within the first, to me, 10 to 15 minutes of your session
Okay, yes,
and get
yeah.
them there. And
It's almost like
we
you're
talk
getting
about
buy-in, right?
present time consciousness, right?
Yes,
Being compassionate and watch how they walk through the door and try to get them there within the first, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes. And then the session's amazing, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And another thing too that you said earlier, I didn't want to cut you off mid-sentence, was, you know, that era when they weren't as accessible. It was kind of tough to really get that level of mentoring. It's almost like There was a time when you didn't want to give everything away.
Yeah, and you were taught to not, right?
Yes. Why?
Yeah.
Why was that?
I don't, I don't know. Um, I'm not sure. It's a good question. I'm such a different person than that
Hmm.
personally.
Yes.
And I think I was also taught to not get too connected with my client. And I learned, and I tell all my apprentices, you need to be your own person, or else you're not going to come off organically, and
Yes.
it's going to be awkward.
Hmm.
And I've just learned to be my own person, and I don't know, I give a lot. And one of my mentors is Kathy Ross Nash,
Hmm.
and she's that way 1,000,000%. She's
Yes.
so you learn so much from her. She just gives and gives and gives, and she wants to. She has such passion, right?
Yes.
And she's not going to tell you to do a damn thing she wouldn't do herself.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
appreciate that. But she's a giver. You're going to learn a lot from her.
Yes.
And she's old school.
Right. I have a hypothesis on it, though. And if there's any dancers, and this isn't hate on dancers hour, just for the record, but I think sometimes too, in that era, a lot of people that come from that dance background know that this is your moment to shine, and someone is waiting for you to fall in order for them to get their moment to shine. So there's a sense of not giving everything because you don't want someone to exceed what you do. So you don't want someone to do better than you. You want them to keep coming back because they need something from you still.
Yeah, I would love to hear what the dancers have to say, because I do think that
Yeah.
it's such
And I could be totally,
God bless
yeah.
them, because that's so strict, and that's such a
Mhm.
challenging job. And I don't think there's a lot of room
Yes.
for error. Maybe, maybe that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it's like there's maybe, like, I mean, and I could be totally wrong, but that's a non-dancer looking from the outside at some of the responses that are like, okay, you could just chill for a moment because I'm not trying to take your spot here. We're both trying to get better. Like, you like just
Yeah.
relax for a second.
And
And
in the dance world, there is a primary dancer, and where you even stand on the stage, I think, correct me if I'm wrong too, but I think is,
yes,
you're vying for that spot all the time. So
yes.
it creates a lot of competitiveness.
Hmm. Hmm. Whereas, and this is two non-dancers talking. Whereas, like coming from our sports, it's fine to work together as a team. It's fine to fight for that top spot, but know that me getting a top spot isn't by me standing on your neck to get there. It's like because we're both competing together, sort of thing.
Right, right. Yeah, you got to let that shit go. Just don't let it go.
Yep,
And I think people are. I think
I think
things
they
are
are too.
changing a lot.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, the
they
whole
are.
when Bob Leakins passed away, and I was at his memorial with Juan. Um, there were a lot of people that came, and you heard all these stories. Well, I haven't talked to so and so, and I haven't talked to so and so, and wow, look at so and so's over there, and I haven't seen them for years because we weren't speaking. And and they're all dancers,
Wow. Yeah. Eh?
but they all were there. And I think these things are changing so much, and a lot of it has to do with social media, and
Hmm.
a lot of it has to do with the people that are leading the charge now. Um, I'll give credit again to Kathy. I think she wraps everyone
Yep.
in her arms, and
Yes.
and plays anytime, and it's really it's great. I think it's dissipating, right?
It is. It's so refreshing. I've had people on here say, like, my goal, like I think Misty said it. I mean, many people said it, but their goal for their apprentices is for them to be better than she is.
Yeah,
Like I love, 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 love hearing that, just exuding that confidence that I'm gonna give you everything I have so that you can excel past me. Like use me as that launch pad onto how great you can be.
yeah. Because can you imagine you have an apprentice that people love, they're like, who taught you? You know?
Yes. I used to say that in my personal training days when I taught a boot camp and I'd have someone sub and teach a class for me. I always said to my staff or trainers I'm working with, you know that you've arrived when people come to my boot camp to look for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's when I feel good about the way that I've taught them or that the personality they brought, they have a different eye, they have a different connection. So when people show up in my class, like, oh, Phil's not teaching today. I'm like, yes. It's not like, oh, like, I'm the man. It's like, no, like, yeah, he's that good that you're looking for him to teach a class and he's going to kill you even more than I did. Like, go for it. I think that that's the mindset that is starting to leak into Pilates where we're saying, I want you to be better than me. Yeah, so did you see a comment there from Black Cat Pilates?
Yeah, not giving the right attention to the others, even. I can't see the whole thing.
Here it says, so here's some, there are some healthy competition, and there are some mentors that turn this into competition, negative for being so prioritizing one and not giving the right attention to the other. That's true. Yeah.
That is true. And I think Romana was supposedly was that way. Like the
Oops, sorry about it.
people that were really good got more attention. And if there is a
Prime ballerina, yes.
yeah, exactly. You try to give everyone if I have 5 apprentices and one struggling, that person's probably going to get more of my attention just because of what you just said, Martin. I want them to have success, and
Yeah.
they're going to need more. Some people just need more, and some people surprise you. They're
Yes.
eventually you're like, holy crap, they're amazing now.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
just needed, their process was different.
The process. Yeah. Yeah,
I had
exactly.
a girl call the other day when I was gone on vacation, and she said I had so and so as a teacher in New York, and I'm classical, and I'm moved here, and I need blah blah blah. And I said, well, I can give you this apprentice. She's graduated now, you can wait for me. And she said, no, I'll try her. She doesn't want me. She's like, she was amazing. I don't want you,
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that means I
Right.
did a good job. Because I thought with her talking about her teacher in New York, who I know, and blah, 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 I thought, oh God, but she loved her. So to
Great.
me, I was so proud of that girl's experience.
So you should be. And, personal training is personal. I think that we forget that, and it's not about my degree in biomechanics or like who I learned from or who I trained from. So in Pilates, it's the exact same thing. I could have trained with Joseph Pilates myself, and then they may prefer you just because you're a nicer person than I am.
Exactly.
And then they just resonate. So
I gave you that quote. I like that. So much in life is not about what you do, what you say, but how you make people feel.
yes.
So if somebody you have a relationship with feels good, how you is so much more important than what you say and what you do, because what you say and do is going to make them feel one way, So if they walk away feeling great,
Right.
then
Yeah. I believe that's a Maya Angelou quote, right?
I'm not really sure.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. My Bible just said it too. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you I didn't really know, but a lot of things are, you have to look at your compassion, your present time consciousness, what's happening, because things are kind of crazy, right? So I feel like I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and all those like 5-year plans and what's your goal? You have to have plan B now, right? You have to be able to see, like, where am I gonna take this? How can I make this positive? Not every day has to be that way, but you have to find a way to do what you love.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You have. Look at you.
Well, that's the whole thing with this is I feel like this is a time where we have, and as a studio owner, I'm sure you can appreciate this. You get so caught up working like in the business that you don't spend enough time working on the business.
Right.
So with this time where we've been forced to close down, forced to slow down, forced to spend time with our families and stuff, that gives us a moment to look back at our business and say like, I'm going to work on my business.
For sure. That without a doubt.
So then
Yeah.
that just gives us that time to give expression to other things like the social media, like connecting with other people, like
Yeah.
these conversations. Like my wife jokes with me all the time, like I'm going on a date every single day because I love just getting to know people. I love hearing people's stories. So
That's such
let's,
a good
you know,
analogy.
that's it. So I get to just like hear people's stories and highlight these people. And I think you're doing a great job. And for the time that we met in Chicago, my wife Alex and I were just saying like you just really cool and just had a great thing going on there. So I was like, well, let's hear your story, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've just done such a great job. I'm gonna let's acknowledge
Yeah,
Black
Black Cat Pilates.
Pilates.
Somewhere Hamburg. Okay, and there are aspects of being a black dance teacher coming to classical school in the Pilates business. There is all.
Yeah, so Kira talked about that on her conversation
Mm-hmm.
with Pilatesology.
Yes.
I can't. I mean, speaking to
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah, exactly. And I can speak to it just as a black male. One of the things that Michelle mentioned, which is also true for me, is a sense of we have to kind of like overexert ourselves just to get an equal amount of attention,
right. Yeah, I'm sure.
right? So the analogy that Michelle used on Monday was, um, we'll give you this job when you have this degree. We'll give you this teaching opportunity when you have this certification. You can run this class when you have this and this and this. So the more certifications that she got, the more she figured she would be qualified for these opportunities. And then one day she walked into a gym and you saw like this, the master league top trainer has this certification, this certification, this certification. She's like, I have a degree in that. Like I don't just have a weekend
Right.
and still doesn't have the gig. And then you start to recognize that really is the essence of systemic racism.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't like black people, is that you live in a system that sets it up so that sameness prevails.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
can't even imagine, obviously, and just being I'm short and small and a female. I remember in my first professional jobs trying to overachieve, and people would say, "You seem really serious," and I thought that's because I'm trying to seem bigger than I am. So that's the only comparison I could even come
yes,
up with. I've got nothing else, but I can't.
that's right. Yes. I love that you pull that analogy up because we all have those moments of being on the wrong side of someone else's advantage. And the analogy that I used recently was with accessibility and a friend of mine who's in a wheelchair.
Oh, I
You know,
heard that. Yeah.
right? So I mean, like you and I take it for granted. We walk up the stairs. You're downtown. You walk up the stairs to go into Starbucks, buy a drink, and walk out. We're not saying, well, where's the ramp? How come you don't have a ramp here? I'm going to boycott this
I
this Pilates studio, the Starbucks because there's no ramp here. I didn't even notice the ramp. That's my privilege being mobile.
I know. Isn't it crazy? I mean, I think one thing I appreciate lately is I've watched documentaries a lot during
Hmm.
this, or a movie, something that really makes you feel, or read a book, because sometimes we can't put ourselves in your friend's shoes, right? But
Hmm.
sometimes movies or books, or they can bring out the emotion, or get the point across. But
Yes.
like I watched a documentary on AIDS the other night. It's called "We Were um, We Were Here," and
Okay.
there's this guy on it. His name is Daniel Goldstein,
Okay.
and his story is crazy. He lost 2 partners he was in love with. He has AIDS himself. He lost crazy amounts of friends, and he's just so, he just came out of it, right?
Yes.
It's worth watching, and it's amazing. And I watched it and I thought, my God, I had no idea it was even, I'd forgotten that it was even that bad.
Right.
And I'm glad I watched it because it made me
Yes.
appreciate, you have to stop
Their
and think,
plight.
what did
Yeah.
that person walking in my door,
Yes.
did they just get, are they Black? Did they just get looked at funny on the street? And now they're walking in the door, and now I got to give them a great experience, or did they get a parking ticket, or did their husband just tell them they're having you always have to feel or think about what's the other person going through.
Yes.
And
That's
your own emotions, you can't drag your own like thoughts and try to,
yes.
oh, you shouldn't care about that. And it's their feelings, not yours, right?
Validated. You're talking about prejudice. And one of the things that comes out of prejudice, we want to just label black and white on that. But if, like Michael Brown said when he was on the show, if you
Oh,
think
right.
about it, yeah, you think about it from the perspective of training the bodies in front of you, we can have a prejudice, even the fact that if I train with you twice, and last time Beth, I did my class with you,
Yeah.
I moved beautifully and I just nailed this exercise. And then I come in today and you're like, okay, just do that exercise again. And I can't do it. Your prejudice was that I can just do this.
Yeah.
You're not looking at the body in front of you saying, maybe I had a bad day. Maybe I had a fight with my wife on the way in. Maybe I got a speeding ticket on the way here. Maybe I just got told on a phone call that I got laid off from my job. I'm carrying things into our session, but you have your preconceived ideas about me before we even started.
Right. Affects your body,
And
right?
it affects your body. Now, if you layer in race into that, that's what's happening on a global scale, is where I'm coming to the session, you have your preconceived ideas about me as a culture, and you bring that to play. So I think that's what's happening. If we're to just, guys, for listening, if we just distilled racism down to just that one preconceived idea in the Pilates studio, but that's what's happening on a global scale. We have this perception of who people are before we get to understand who the body is in front of us.
Yeah. I think, there are so many layers now, right? You have the virus, you have racism and prejudice, and you have really raw hurting people.
Yes. Yeah.
Who are trying to put a smile on their face, and
Yeah. 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 So I mean, it's a real world out there, and I like what you said. I mean, my next question you already answered is like, well, what does that look like when your studio opens again? And I think that you beautifully answered that in saying, like, just give people a positive experience, give them an authentic experience when they come in the door, and not assume that they're having an awesome day, not assume that they're having a terrible day. Just like find out where they are when they come in.
yeah. And right now, everyone's coming in differently. Yeah, our studio did reopen, and it's slow. I mean, we're just teaching only 6 people. We have about 1,400 square feet, only 6 people at a time. So 2 instructors, one can have 2 people, or however you want to slice it up. We can only have 6 people in, and everyone comes in with a different emotional like bag on their back.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I will tell you, it's this has changed. I'm not putting up with things anymore, right? So I will say that that's probably the biggest change that has happened with me, is if I had a client walk in the door and I felt like I'm offended by something, if it gets to a certain degree, I'm not going to put up with that. I'll ask them to leave now. Where before I think I would have, okay, like lift your leg in the air, and I just can't, I'm not going to let it be in my life. you
Yeah,
know,
so it's like life is too short for that, right?
for sure. Yeah,
Mm.
for sure. And I had a friend, really good friend pass away in January, and that, was right before this all happened. And I also think there are people alive that I love, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna live for the living, and I'm gonna live, I'm gonna, I just, I want to be with people I want to be around,
Yeah, yeah.
and I love this Pilates community for that. Hasn't it
Yes.
been fantastic?
Hmm.
And people come into the studio. I don't know if you have this experience, but a lot of people, when they're doing something for themselves and they come in, they work out, sometimes they have emotional breakthroughs or breakdowns. Or people will cry, people will tell you things,
Hmm.
and it's amazing experience. I think we're doing a really great thing, and with the wellness and letting people move and feel and do something for
Yes.
themselves.
It sounds like you have a new level of intentionality with your space.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah, and I think with just my space with
Your
yeah,
own personal
yeah,
space.
yeah,
Yes.
that too. That too. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Even with my family. So,
Mm.
but the
Fantastic.
studio I really seem to unite more than ever.
Hmm.
That's the seal. I love her. And
Yeah.
she's a big uniter.
Yes.
Yes, it has. It's just been overwhelming to me.
Hmm.
The you, I don't know how many Pilates instructors are on here, but take advantage of it.
Yes.
It's you can get education,
Mhm.
friendships,
Yes. Hmm.
aw. And it just people are there to build you up. And if something happened right now to me, I know, like Martin, I could call you, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. Yeah.
and you and I've met in person, maybe, that one weekend, but I felt connected to you right away.
Hmm.
I think that's just speaking of who you are. Uh, and there are so many people that I haven't even met in person that I've connected with.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
feel like if I went to Germany right now, I'd find friends. I could probably stay at someone's house, even,
Right. Yeah,
And
absolutely. That's
it's,
just it. Like, it is beautiful. It is really great. And like, and it's even circling back to all of our anti-racism work. Like, I love the way that people are really being dedicated to learning and to understanding, and to being gracious. And you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that's happening for those who are picking a fight. There's a lot of people who are really trying to draw unity, and I love that. And I want to celebrate that. And our friends worldwide are just, it's all good stuff that's happening. And I like the trend. I like where we're going.
yeah, yes, for sure. Yeah, it's been, I feel like the last few months has showed that more than ever. And
Yes.
um, I mean, even the things that you're doing, right? Bringing people to the forefront that I've never even heard speak before. I've learned so
Yes.
much from the conversations you've had.
Honestly, it's been a treat.
Yeah,
Like,
and some
I can't
people,
even
I'm
tell
like, I'm
you.
gonna get to know that person better.
Yeah, we only have a few more minutes left, but I think that's the next phase of this. Like, we're talking about a new kind of show called Core Connections, where Beth can meet Kevin in Michigan, you know what I mean? Or where Brooke Seiler can connect with Noam in BC. And then you can see, like, we've had over 50 shows, and you see some common connections between the words that we've said and the philosophies that we share. And like, for you to meet Misty or like whoever it is, and just have like three people in the room and just have a connection and just have a conversation around some different piece. Like, I think it would be really cool to see that happen.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. It's been,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your comments here. Um, it started new beginnings. Absolutely. It's an awesome. No, thank you so much. I've had some people who've just been watching these shows like this is part of their day, tuning in at 10 every day, and it's so
It's so
humbling, right?
great.
It's so good. I'm just so grateful for it, and just so thankful to you for coming on today as well. This has been so good, Beth.
Thank you. Say hi to your wife.
I'm not sure Alex if she's still on, but she usually just tunes in while she's going for a walk or just
Oh,
working in the
okay.
background.
Hi,
So,
Al.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna
Well, thank
sign you
you
off
for
here.
having me.
Yes, my pleasure. It's so good. So we're always in touch. So I'll send you the highlights from this later, and for those watching, it'll be on the Core Conversations group page as well. And there's my timer going off in the background. Black Cat Pilates, thanks so much as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I'll sign you off. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Core Conversations. This organic platform has been made possible by amazing people like yourself. So if you're a Pilates instructor or a movement specialist of some kind and you want to be a guest, please message me. If you're in some other field and the messages just resonate with you, message me. I'd love to have you on. All of our messages connect, and for some reason, they all help us in this battle. We're all in this game together, so I'd love to hear from you. Let your words be life to someone else. Check out our website, personalvictory.ca. Click the Core Conversations page to see who our upcoming guests are, and I will see you next time on Core Conversations.